Hi, Chris here at Peachy TT120. It's announcement day. It's probably about 1:30, maybe 2 o'clock now on the 10th of October. Just about to get ready for Gets. Let's have a little bit of fun with this, shall we? We'll try and read between the lines, try and work out what's going on. I've got to be a bit careful though, because for Saturday and Sunday, I'm going to be on the Hornby stand at Gets with Camelot, showing off the new stuff. Pretty sure we've got 37 J50 Terrier and possibly even the B4, fingers crossed, running on Camelot. So come in and say hello. And see, Martin goes to the gym, and Carl Hart looks like he can look after himself, and I'm going to be stood between them as you're watching this right now on the Friday afternoon. So I'll best behave a little bit. Now, I know there's lots of you I think actually are going to be really pleased by what you've seen already. There's going to be one or two of you going, "Oh no, it's not fair. There's an announcement, and it was just moan, gibber. Well, guys, you've got to get your head around the fact that Hornby can't bring out a new tooled loco every quarter. Okay, it just doesn't work like that. All right, it really is as simple as that. All right, so I think you're going to be looking at announcements of new toolings, which Martin's told us there's new toolings of locos coming. All right, we might have to be a bit more patient. I don't know whether they'll announce in November, December. Probably not. I'm guessing they've done 4 this year. They'll probably refresh, start again in January, and we'll have something big to announce in January. That's my guess. And I'm perfectly fine with that. Right? And so should you be too. You can feel how you like. Right, so first thing is this 37, the early small BR logo in the BR blue with the yellow ends, but they're not the full yellow noses, they're just the yellow faces almost. This is actually my favourite livery, and this is the one that I'm probably gonna cancel. Sorry, Martin, I'm probably going to cancel my big logo one because I want this to go with my small logo 50 that you've announced. This is my cup of tea. This is, and I think it's a cup of tea of a lot of people around here. And yeah, why not? Why not have a new livery? The 37s have proved very popular. I think the green and the big BR blue, the big logo BR blue, have been particularly popular. So I'm not surprised that they've brought this one out. I'm not so sure about the EWS one. But then again, do you know what? I thought when I heard through the grapevine that there's possibility of a re-liveried 37 coming out in this announcement, my guess was the Colas rail, because that's in traction now. That's currently in traction. In traffic. Been pulled on a rack. No, that's in traffic now. In fact, I live near a little line in Driffield, which is the suburban line from Hull up to Scarborough via Bridlington. And I was at the lights in Driffield, and I just picked my son up that evening from the gym. He picked him up from the gym, and 2 Colas rails 37s went past, pulling some big piece of equipment between the pair of them. It was fantastic, and I thought, oh no, now I've got to buy the Colas rail stuff as well. That's how it happens, isn't it? So I think everyone will be pleased with that. Of course, I think the thing that everyone will be pleased at is, better late than never, is a new BR brake van with a new running number. I think these are lovely models. I'm hoping these run better than the very first batch, but I think that's been something that Carl Hart's team have been working on. So I've got high hopes that this is going to be a sweet runner, not an actual physical brake van like some of the other ones were. Maybe a little bit disappointed that it's not a completely new design. But like I said, Hornby can't just keep banging out new toolings. and they've got to leave a little bit of space for other people to come in. So everyone's really pleased about this. I hope there's going to be some announcements from other manufacturers about some other brake vans from some other areas. But still, it's a nice little bookend to your train, isn't it? So well done, Hornby. Could probably have been better a year ago. But the guys at Hornby are doing the best they can. All right, you may not agree with that, but I think they are. Right, next. Oh, now the Virgin Mark IIFs. Now, it's a very real thing. I think they were. Now, someone will probably shoot me down because quite often Peachy is wrong, and maybe I'm wrong with this. But the Virgin 2Fs. Now, it's an attractive livery. Pretty sure this was Crossrail. I thought these were predominantly. I'm not quite sure what they're pulled by. I know I've seen a 47, but there's something else on there, like a. I'll have to look it up, and it will come up on the screen here. All right, but there was something that pulled these a lot, and it might have been the 47, or it might have been something else. But I don't recall seeing like 37 or a 50 pulling these things, or or Hellions Deltic. So I'm not really, and obviously they were out. I think they're out of date by the 66s come along. The 66s never pulled passenger anyway, so at least not that I'm aware of. So I'm not so sure about the need for this, but maybe there isn't a need for it. Maybe this is a case of, right, we've got a nice coach in this 9F. Let's give it a nice livery. The Virgin HST seems to be the one that's piqued everyone's attention, seemingly more so than the GNER. Personally, I'm not surprised by that. That first little piece of information on the first catalogue said East Coast Mainline. So I was expecting the silvery grey East Coast Mainline HST. That's what I'd hoped for. That's what I really want. I don't really want the GNER one. And although it looks, so it's a nice looking livery. So maybe that's a little hiccup that they made, but they can't get it right all the time. But the Virgin 9Fs, I did ask them. I was told that they wanted to find something attractive that could be pulled by the slightly more modern 50. So I'm guessing that. So there's GBRF Orangey 50, orange and blue, but then there's that green 50. And at the top of my head, the name of it's gone. I don't think the BR Blue version of the 50 pulled these, but I might be wrong. The big logo version, the big BR logo version, definitely not the little BR logo version that you can pre-order. So maybe this isn't a prototypical pick, but maybe it's just something that's quite attractive, or maybe is this a hint of things to come? I mean, we have done some weird stuff in the past, because I'm pretty sure there was a 47 in the Virgin livery. Just don't know whether it pulled these or not. But I don't really know whether or not Hornby care. In fact, I don't really know if you care, to be honest with you. So there's another option. There's another choice, particularly for the Rule 1 Brigade, who want to run wherever they like. Now, talking of the Rule 1 Brigade, yeah. Ooh. Well, we knew some novelties were going to be coming, so we shouldn't be surprised about this. We can, of course, have a little bit of fun with it. And we know it's not for the prototypical model maker. Although saying that, if these are at a really cheap price point, that chassis might work out quite well for a 3D printed body of something slightly bigger. That would need checking with its dimensions. I don't really know. There'll be people out there already trying to work it out, I'm sure. I know one of them definitely will be. And if it's got a nice coupling underneath, you've got some decent wheels and a decent NEM pocket if it's in the one with the spring that pulls it back, the kinematic thing. So if it's got the kinematic NEM coupling pocket, then that might actually be a really nice donor chassis. All right, that's probably not what Martin wants to hear. The TT120 Club is the one that we've been promised for over 3 years. I will be buying one, and it will be a shelf queen, and it will just be sat there, and I will collect the next one that comes along, and I'll collect the next one that comes along, and I'll collect the next one that comes along, and it will just kind of feed that little kind of that weird obsession we all have with collecting. The number one dad. Right. I kind of like the number one dad bit. I don't mind the thanks for always carrying the load. I don't understand the sort of Grand Prix prize reefs that that reminds me of like the JPS when Lotus used to win championships when they were around, and they would have the Grand Prix first, second or third in that reef on the side of the car. That's what that reminds me of. I don't really get this. I'm being careful not to be too harsh, just in case it was designed by Martin's daughter. Just in case. Do you know what? It probably isn't a bad little thing. It's the sort of thing that my daughter will buy me because she can be quite evil, and she'd buy it for me just to see my face as I opened it on Father's Day. And I would love it anyway. I probably would have a little crack at this with maybe a little bit of IPA, a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, and a little fiberglass brush, and get rid of the graphics and have a nice little black wagon if you did buy it for me. But it's a giggle. I'm not going to poo-poo these things. They do sell. That, you know, Hornby aren't idiots. You might think they're idiots for producing stuff like this, but they do sell. People like to buy them. It's a stocking filler. It's a little bit of fun, you know. And I'm assuming that they're going to be quite a low price point. But we'll see. Well, actually, no, we would have already known, won't we? Because that will have come out. That just tells you when I'm doing the video, I don't know what the price is. Oops. Never mind. Crack on, Peachy. Aha! Now, this actually, I think, is, for me, the main part of it. Although I like painting buildings and I like detailing buildings, and I like the price points of 3D printed ones. I think they're super detailed. And I think for me personally, that's the way I like to go. Some of these LNER, or the Eastern region versions of these buildings, I think this is a really good idea. I like the platform spacer, so you have a station at the same level and steps going up to it. I like the idea, the station house itself. I like that size. The water tower, yeah, it's okay. But I really like the signal box. That just shouts LNER to me, or Northeastern to me, you know. And you know, hey, look, two good sheds, a sort of 80s, 90s diesel kind of working shed, and something a little bit earlier, the steam one. Now it's got its doors closed, so I'm wondering how they're doing that. Or is one end with its doors open? Is this end got some movable doors or removable doors? Because normally these cast things don't actually have flapping components. Maybe they just come as a panel and you can glue them in, which would be a bit weird. So I don't know about that. I'm going to be asking Martin about that this weekend. What's with the doors? Because quite often, actually, they didn't have a lot of doors to get all that smoke out. But I love the good shed. It's very similar to what I've got on Camelot. That's my cup of tea, that style. I like the fact that the little huts, you've got an older lineside one that's wooden, and then you've got a slightly more, you know, that 80s, 70s, 80s, 90s concrete panelled thingy. Yeah, I think that's a cracking little hut, actually. And who doesn't like a coal stave? Is that a coal stave, or is that yeah, it's a coal stave. But that at platform height, I like that. I think these are really neat, and I think that Hornby should be applauded for really going forwards with these out of the box, put it down models. You know, 00 gets the Scenecraft stuff, and although I know Malk's models did bring out some Scenecraft stuff, Bachmann have said quite clearly the only way they'll produce any more is if other retailers put their hands in the pockets and pay for them. But they are quite expensive. And so I don't know whether or not that's going to continue. It'd be great if it did continue. I don't know how much of a success it was for Malk's. I think it wiped its face. But I need to talk to Malk's about that and find out more about it. I don't think they'll class it as a failure, but I don't know whether I do remember at the time it being quite an expensive project for them to take on. So I don't know. But the void's getting filled. I hope, though, that with these buildings that Hornby doesn't drop the other stuff. I hope they keep producing them so that shops can have them in stock. We'd love to have more of the other stuff that's been done for the buildings. When I say we, you guys should know by now that I work for TMC, the model centre, and you know I think we've got about 4 items on the shelf, and we want more because we would sell them. You guys seem to want them, you know, particularly new people and returning modelers who want to get something handsome on their layout and crack on before they learn more skills when it comes to painting and dealing with 3D printed things or making scale scenes printed buildings. So I think these buildings are the real winner for me for this whole thing. I don't think there's any real losers. I'm a little bit confused by the Virgin Mark IIFs. I love the idea of the brake wagon, which, you know, there's been a clarion call for that for quite some time now. That hopefully should shove down those silly eBay prices and second-hand prices. And of course, I'm absolutely in love with the plainer liveried blue Class 37. Who wouldn't be? Right, I've got to crack on because I've got to get my stuff ready because we've got this fantastic opportunity for Camelot to be front and centre at Getz. Right, you know, you can be opening the doors. There'll be the Hornby mag stand, there'll be the Hornby stand, and right in the middle of that is going to be Camelot with some TT120 stuff running. So come and see us, come and say hello, come and have a bit of a joke and a bit of a jape. Don't be too aggressive with Martin and Carl. They are nice people, but they don't mind you asking them questions, so come over and talk to them. All right. Take care, guys. See you soon. Cheery bye. Oh, and it's been so long since I've been in front of camera. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Apparently there's now a hype thing as well, where the comments are, you can write a comment or you can slide it right and you can press the hype button. I don't know why we need these extra things, but apparently we do, because since it's been introduced, my viewings have dropped massively off. Now, is that because I did a craft series where I made a load of stuff? But I thought people like me making some stuff. Maybe my stuff wasn't good enough. I don't know. And also, the algorithm tells you, or YouTube tells you, that people like helping information videos. So that's why I did the 6-pin. And although I probably didn't answer everyone's questions, I think I proved a process that has worked, and I've now done. I've done 9 of them now for customers. Because it's something that we do at TMC. I think it's along the lines of, I mean, call the sounds line and ask them, but it's along the lines of supply and fit. The decoder is 60 quid. Supply and fit, the Stay Alive is £40. And we highly recommend that you do it with the Stay Alive because we're suggesting that you will resolve a lot of your problems if you do put a Stay Alive in. Doesn't guarantee you resolve all of them. All right. So that's it. That's enough. I need to crack on. Cheery bye. And like and subscribe. Sorry, got it the wrong way round.
And that's all there is to tell. I'll be on my way now, sir. I've got urgent business in the south. I have to meet a man at Melbourne Junction.